Best of r/Tales from Retail episode 85. Subscribe for Reddit videos daily. On my way to put a pair of shorts back on the hanger, a customer approached me. "Don't you have any Harley Quinn shirts that aren't this?" I put the shorts back while telling her, "Yeah, right here on the other side. We have an older Harley design," and then gesture to the stack. While she's looking at the shirt, she looks at me and asks, "You guys used to sort it by size, do you just shove them all in there now?" I had no earthly idea what she was talking about, so I just described the shirts she was looking at and said they're sorted by size and style. She repeats her same question, angrier. I ask her what she means. She repeats it. I ask if she's talking about the shirt she's looking at. She stands up from looking at the Harley Quinn shirts, looks me in the eyes and says, "Let's try this again. Back in clearance, you used to sort it by size. Do you just shove it all back there now?" I told her we put it out mostly by style at this point. She got mad at that answer and left. She then drove all the way to another store to ask someone there why I was rude and ignorant, which I found out when someone at that store called our store about an hour later. What the hell is wrong with people? Thank you. Next. Quick background. Since the 1st of January, my state increased the minimum age for tobacco purchase to 21. Every gas station in my local area now requires everyone, regardless of age at all, to show a valid ID to discourage the already ongoing issue of purchasing for underage people. Here's another recent one from the other day. M equals me, C equals customer, C, Marlboro 100S2, M, sure, we do need to ask for it too. C, what? Died, I'm like twice your age. M, I'm still required to as part of my job. I completely get the frustration though. I've found that appearing sympathetic to a certain point can avoid issues sometimes, but not always. C, yeah, I guess you conveniently forgot to card the pretty little white girl a minute ago, huh? M, actually, she had just come back in after getting her ID since she left it in the car and I couldn't sell it to her otherwise. Again, I get it, but I still need to card everyone regardless if they're 21 or 121. C, fuck outta here. I'm going up the road then for the cigs. M, just the gas then today? Put cigs back in slot. C, obviously dumbfounded. You really are gonna be a little bitch about it, aren't you? You're lucky if I don't decide to sue you discrimination of age or attempting to steal identity information. M, seriously irritated, and there's a line forming which isn't helping the stress at this point, sir. I gotta do my job regardless. If you really feel inclined to do so, I can't legally try to stop you, but for now, if you're still getting gas, please let me know. I don't mean to sound rude, but I'm the only one with a register open and there's a line forming. C, right, now you're just being a dumbass, but it's cool, college isn't for everyone I guess. M, internally fuming at this point. $25. C, now I'll just get the gas up the road. M, hits void. Understandable. Enjoy the rest of the day though. C, what? You thought I was serious? $25 on 9 still. Thankfully he shut up until he got to the door after finally prepaid for the gas. Then blurted out that the company should be recognized for employing special ed kids. He was banned from the property after being caught giving 2 others a hard time like that too. Once during the next shift after me, and once the following day to my manager directly. What do people honestly think they'll accomplish acting like that anyway? Thank you. Next. So this happened about 10 years ago. Was working at a grocery store in the meat department. There are about 4 or 5 of us in the cutting room just chatting and doing our thing, and a gentleman, maybe around his mid-40s, comes over to ask a question. My co-worker acknowledges the man, asking him what we can do for him. The man looks at my co-worker and asks what part of the cow does pork come from. We all just sorta snicker and say something like, "Good one, sir." The man stood there with a deadpan look on his face waiting for an answer. My other co-worker went over and politely informed the gentleman that pork comes from pigs. The guy was nice enough and thanked us for the info and went on his way. Not an overly negative or positive customer encounter, just very odd. How can you make it to your mid-40s and not ever come across that information? Thank you. Next. This happened a few days at my work and it's a long story, but I will shorten it the best I can. This lady came in and was shopping in our shoe department. We just finished packing up some of our old season heels to make room for our new shipment. She found one that was misplaced and asked my supervisor for a certain size in the shoe. He let her know we just finished packing those styles up, but he will get a worker to go through the boxes and see if she can find it for her. So two of my co-workers go to the wall we had our boxes stored and start going through them. Keep in mind we don't have to do this. Once it's packed we can say sorry, they are ready to send out. We can't open the boxes, but this day wasn't a busy day, so he decided to do it for this customer, going above and beyond what is expected. My co-workers are going through the boxes and it took about 10 minutes to verify we did not have the size she was looking for. As one of them was gonna go find the lady, she was on the other side of a shoe display table with a mad look on her face talking to my supervisor. Apparently this lady went to him complaining that the girls were talking in the wall and took 25 minutes to look for the shoes and that it was horrible customer service. She then turned to my co-worker and said that bitch doesn't deserve a job. Where's your manager? And she replied, well, you are talking to her supervisor. He's one. And she screams, no, I want his boss. And she storms to the front to the cash registers. My assistant manager was there and so was I. This was where I started to witness this crazy lady. I was waiting on a customer when she comes up and slams the shoes down on the counter and says to my assistant manager, I want the manager. And my assistant manager says, I am the assistant manager. What seems to be the problem? And the lady screams, no, I want the manager, and she was told she is not here and she demands her number and email, and my assistant manager tells her we can't give her that information, but she is welcome to leave her number and we can let her know to call her back. And that's when all hell broke loose. She went on a rant lying about my co-workers talking in the wall and taking 30 minutes, was 25 she claimed, now it's 30, and that they need to be fired, etc. This went on for a few minutes. Eventually she left but was apparently head counting all the workers in the store as she was leaving. Later that day my assistant manager contacts my manager about this situation, and then contacts our district manager. My district manager takes it into her own hands and calls the lady to see if there's a calm solution, and the lady was nothing but rude to my district manager as well on the phone. She demanded an apology from every employee that was working that day, and my district manager laughed at her and said that's not gonna happen. This lady was maybe 25 or so BTW. She was in no way a typical Karen, but this has to be the worst one I have personally witnessed. In the end we were told if she comes back to call security and we do not have to help her. Thank you. Next. Odd title, I know, but there's a story behind it. So, I've been working in the same shop for almost 8 years now, and for about the last 6, we've had this one customer, an elderly lady, I'd say early to mid 80s, who's become the embodiment of unintentional difficulty. It started on a Tuesday. She came in looking for plain macaroons. I told her sorry, but the only ones we stocked had chocolate on the bottom. I did, however, offer to put in a customer request to see if any could be ordered. I did explain that this could take some time, due to the nature of stock control at a national company, and she seemed to agree. Then, the very next day, she was in asking if her plain macaroons had arrived. This was but the start of it, and is how she earned the nickname Macaroons Lady. And indeed, macaroons has become shop code for awkward customer in general. And yes, she has told us her real name, but we still know her as Macaroons Lady, not that we'd ever say that to her face. After this first incident, she started coming in regularly, usually very late 10:45 p.m., arriving with her four-wheeled walking frame, and spending so long trying to decide on what to buy, or just telling the staff about her day, that it would often be 5-10 minutes after closing, 11 p.m., before we could actually lock the door. One incident I remember vividly, we were expecting a big delivery, so we had 3 members of staff on. Well, the delivery was running late, so I was tidying up some of the shelves in the stockroom when I happened to look through the one-way window in the door. Out on the shop floor, the shift manager had been caught by Macaroons Lady, and was evidently having to politely listen to whatever she wanted to talk about. And that's something you need to know, you can't interrupt her, and not like a Karen, where she'd cut you off and call you rude for interrupting, but rather she just ignores you and keeps talking. So, being the bastard that I am, I just stood there, watching with her there, but for the grace of God go I smile on my face, before I opened the door and called out to the shift manager, telling her that there was a phone call from her. This gave her an opening, and she almost sprinted through the door, all but slamming it shut behind her. She then punched me in the arm when I admitted that I'd deliberately left her there for longer than necessary. Another incident, and this is the one that reminded me of her because of another post here. It was after closing, and we were in the middle of taking the tills off. The shop phone rang, and, like an idiot, I answered it. Unfortunately, it was Macaroon's lady, asking if we had rolls of kitchen towels a certain height. Then I was subjected to the story of how her sister had bought her this kitchen towel holder, but it couldn't take rolls over a certain size, and how another shop used to stock them, but had stopped now. It was almost 10 minutes before she realized that it was past our closing time and she was holding us up. And that's why we don't answer the phone after closing time anymore. She has taken to coming in earlier in the day of late, but that just means that there are more people to get stuck in the queue behind her. Thank you. Next. Full disclosure, I have my fair share of plants, and I don't need any more. A fact reaffirmed when watering the whole household takes the better part of the afternoon. But the only thing that motivates me more than a passion for horticulture is pure, unadulterated spite. First case, guy calls us asking about houseplants. I confirm, that's my area, what can I do you for, etc. And wants to know price for a very specific plant, Sansevieria cylindrica starfish if you're wondering, which I tell him. And immediately get a long rebuttal of no it's not, it's only 1/5 that price, and you have it in size we don't have it in. Despite assuring him no, we never have this one that low, and I would gladly check on getting a different size, he keeps cutting me off before I give up. I offer to hold the last one we have for him, through the afternoon, to see if he likes it. He tells me don't bother, you don't know which plant you're talking about, I'm coming down there later, I'll find it, and get this sorted out click. Well okay then. I flag my co-worker, say I'm going on break, and oh yeah, buying this plant. Last I heard, he begrudgingly accepted the 2-week waiting period until we could get more in, at a larger size and higher markup. Second case, happened today. We're very short-staffed and doing our darndest to keep folks happy and get them their lawn and garden questions answered. In the middle of juggling the phones and a line several people deep, a lady walks up with a lovely variegated African violet I had my eyes on prior, and says I need to ask you a favor. I think, oh, this is about how to take care of this little beaut, or what houseplants would work in her house, etc. Nope. She whips out several Ziploc bags of change and says I went through my husband's jackets and found these. Can you count it out for me and tell me how much I have? I politely apologize and say I don't have the time. And she insists, and once again I tell her I cannot do that at this time, but if she would like I'd be happy to set aside the plant while she figures out her change. She gives me a minute-long silent glare before saying you know what, I don't want any of this then. This was literally the one plant, and I tell her, a bit too cheerfully no problem, I'll be glad to put that back on the shelf. But I didn't. I finished up the line and thought this plant deserves a better home, just in case she comes back and bought it on my next break. Variegated violets aren't exactly rare but they come across our shelves infrequently enough that I was content. And now the boyfriend is asking was it all worth it? And to that I say yes. Yes it was. TL. Doctor, impatient and rude customers don't get the houseplants they wanted because I bought them up like the greedy little hobbits I am. Thank you. Next. I work at a clothing store in a mall. Entitled customers don't frequent us, but unfortunately, that doesn't mean they never come. I had the displeasure of dealing with this wonderful lady a while back during the holidays. I do want to note, we do not have a store credit card. Crazy lady. M1 first manager, M2 second manager. I was in the front of the store when this lady walks in. Remember the cool mom from Mean Girls? That should give you an image of what she looked like, except she was on her phone. I welcome her in and she just stares daggers at me, then storms off to my coworker. I need to speak to a big manager, like a GM or a DM, someone in charge. M1 our general manager is on break, but, I'm an assistant manager. What can I help you with? Now you hesitated, which leads me to believe you're not a manager. No, I need your real manager. M2 walks over. M2 yes ma'am, is there anything I can do for you? L you shut down my credit card. M2 I'm sorry, I'm not sure how we could have done that. L do you know what a fraudulent transaction is? Because when I inserted my card into your point of sale terminal, your POS machine read it as a fraudulent transaction and caused my credit card to be cancelled. M2 I don't think the L I know what a fraudulent transaction is. I have a degree in technology. Do you have a degree in technology? I didn't think so. That's probably why you work in retail. M2 can you settle down please? L I will not settle down. You shut down my credit card. While she yells at my manager, she's also on the phone with her bank. Her bank asks her to validate her information, which the lady replies with, L I will not give you any of my information. That is mine and mine only, not yours. I get moved to the back of the store and miss the rest of crazy lady's tirade. Another customer told me that she claimed we embarrassed her in front of everyone in the store and that she exclaimed that she would be filing a formal complaint with corporate. I did hear her shout I won't be here ever again, as she left, but she did come back when we allegedly sold her the wrong size.